It's the last big push before the end of the year, but for some students, it's the source of nightmares. State exams are now underway, and it's not easy to keep your cool in the classroom.
Well, it's hard to believe it is that time of year. Again, FSAs are here, and joining us this morning with tips for your kids and parents, too, is licensed mental health counselor Shantala Boss. Always great to have you. Thank you for being with us this morning. You know, part of why we wanted to talk about this subject is because so many kids get so stressed out to the point that they actually physically get sick because they're so worried about their performance on these tests. Does that surprise you to hear that?
Not at all. I hear that a lot from students and from parents when this time of year comes around. The type of stress and pressure that's on these kids about this test has been building up all year. So they do get physically sick. So educating parents and teachers and kids about what are those warning signs when you start to feel anxious, when you get a little bit maybe sweaty, stomach ache, headache, what are the triggers, and then how to reroute their thoughts. That's what we've been talking about, is what are the thoughts, labeling the thoughts, the negative thoughts. I'm not going to do well, I'm going to fail, I'm not going to make it to the next grade, I'm not going to be able to go to college. It just snowballs for kids.
Right.
So stopping it right away, targeting it, and rerouting it.
And it's so important to have that open line of communication with them, right? Because they're not going to come right out maybe and say that to you, but you might see signs in their behavior. What should you look for?
Right. Well, talking about the test, obsessing about it, fear, anxiety. Like I said earlier, if they're very, sick or they have headaches, not sleeping well, maybe lack of appetite. So anything like that, or maybe just not wanting to do the things they used to want to do as far as go outside with friends. That's one thing that's really important, is to encourage their regular routine. They do need to make sure you get the extra sleep and that you get exercise and get lots of healthy foods, but don't change the routine up too much and put so much focus on this is the day of the test, this is what we have to do.
Well, and you know what's sad is that it's hard on the teachers and the parents too, because the parents feel that pressure, right? Because the teachers are constantly emailing you, hey, it's coming up, make sure you do this, make sure you do this. And then of course the teachers feel the stress too, because they're hearing it from their higher ups.
Right. Well, it is definitely a domino effect, because the school's grade depends on this, the teacher's salaries depend on this. But I think a lot of students think that they're not going to pass or they're not going to make it. Say they had good grades all year and they don't do well in the FSA. One isolated test, even though it's a big one, does not make that determination. And so advocating for your kids and making sure that even as they go on into middle school, that that they don't just look at the test score. Maybe they have test anxiety, but they look at all the way around the whole year and what the student is good in. They don't put them in classes based on just a test, because that isn't necessarily determining everything. Just like when we go to college, we have different ways of qualifying. It's not all one test.
All right. It's such good advice for parents, teachers, and kids. Thank you so much. Shantala Boss, always great to have you in.
You too,
Thank you. I feel better already. All right. We asked you at home, how do you help your kids to manage stress? Here's some of the answers we received from some of you. Carrie Jimenez writes, daughter was a little stressed, and it's hard for her. She told me she was supposed to have a good breakfast, so I make sure I got up early and made her some. That's a good mom. Thanks, Carrie. And George Pena writes, nothing different, because changing the routine is more stressful. Kimberly Booz writes in saying, going to SeaWorld on Friday. So, hey, that helps, right? Anything you could do to take their minds off it. If you want to join the conversation, head over to our Facebook page. I think most of the kids started the writing portion this week, Danielle, and then, of course, everything else to follow.
Yeah, my son woke up at 3 a.m. kind of in a cold sweat, so hopefully, he'll do well today. Wishing them all the best of luck.